All right. It says Hotep Beavis, but I'm going with Captain Ricardo Queso here. We're here with Derrick, and he is picking. He's gonna put all the things. I think today, we're gonna talk about religion because lately I've been like Jesus out here in the desert and dealing with religion. Um, I have a Christian foundation, I will say, as my family was raised. I was raised kind of loose Christian, not like hardcore, not super strict. We did go to church every Sunday. You did like Wednesday stuff, but when I got older, I wasn't required or anything like that. Um, but I just turned 40. Have no fucking clue what's going on. I don't have kids. I don't have a real career. So of course I'm wondering like what the fuck is going on here. So I think from last time when we did a episode and it mysteriously disappeared for some reason. I'm sure it's on my computer, but I don't know how. I don't know how getting that back. I felt that you stated you were Christian.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Loose base, but correct.
Um, so I think there's a lot of things we can get into. One thing I want to do is really get into talking about Jesus. And
Okay.
because there's just so much going on. I think where I stand today is I don't believe Jesus was an actual person, but he may have been a being. Like, because I don't know if the Bible is just based on older stories. You know how most fairy tales, myth, everything that goes, they're usually based on a older version. Somebody kind of edits and updates it to the period.
Correct.
But you have people say that religion is all just myth and fairy tales. But I've come to a point where like myth and fairy tales are very powerful things. And they usually encapsulate some sort of aspect of what it means to be human. And so, you have these people out here like just, they'll toss the Bible out just altogether. And I will say, I don't know about that. It's been around for thousands of years. Something's going on here. And there's a good quote that says, do not profane the wisdom of the ancients. Because I think most people think that like people back in the day were just pretty much retarded and they didn't know shit, which I don't think that's true at all.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on what Jesus represents, and how does Jesus have an effect in your life?
I've been asked that question before, I've done some personal thought on it, and I think Jesus is a whether Jesus is an entity, an actual being, a myth. I think how they say some people have things that like they know are not real, but for them it's the way it's how they live their life. Like they use that to live their life a certain way.
Absolutely.
I think that's what Jesus is for people. People always need something to believe in. I think belief is a very strong attribute and a very strong like thing in people's lives, and people need it. Without belief, people go insane. You have nothing. You have nothing to believe in. You have nothing. So I think Jesus is a belief for people, and that's how, even for me, in a certain extent, and that's how some people get through life. That's how some people deal with problems. That's how some people just figure shit out. It's Jesus, and maybe that's their answer to things. It was a miracle. Jesus did it. Did he? This shit just line up at the right time. That's how people perceive it. That's how I perceive it in a certain sense. Because things happen in my life that like I can't really. There's no scientific evidence to prove anything otherwise. So if there's no scientific evidence, that only leaves faith or sanity. You can either
Right.
say, "All right, well, shit happens," or you believe in a faith, regardless of what that is. Christianity, Buddhism, whatever it is.
No, and I think what you're saying, and it's not so much as whether this is real, as in the physical sense, there was a Jesus, he did these certain things, he did X, Y, and Z, but it's the power of the individual that there is this idea that gives them strength, that gives them reason. So you're creating. It's kind of like creating God. I don't know if you ever seen that series, American Gods.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
What's
dude,
it
it's
on?
fucking great. It's about how all the gods came to America, and the thing about it is, it's that power of belief. It's you know, Odin became a real being because he had these people making sacrifices to him, kind of thing. And it literally has almost every god from every religion. There's Kali, you know. I like the Jesus, but actually, there's tons of Jesuses in the show. There's multiple Jesuses.
Makes
And
sense.
this was actually one of the things you talked about last time. Is I think you mentioned you thought Jesus was black, and this is actually a very relevant conversation to literally what we are just talking about. If we go by the words, it's like, let's say Jesus was an actual person. Uh, he was a Jew from Galilee, and so he would have looked
Right.
more. I mean, he would have looked like, I feel like
You
he would
cut
look like
down.
Borat.
Ah,
But many people,
I
but
can
this
see
is
it.
yeah, this is a thing where, like, I mean, obviously there's been white Jesus representation. Many people today have, Jesus was black. Um, I really enjoyed the Black Jesus TV show. Was that on MTV?
Yeah, that was funny.
That was a good one. So, and I
Oh,
think this ties into what you were just saying, because that is you have more of a familiar recognition to someone that looks like you. Honestly, that's just what it comes down to. You're going to have that more connection, subconsciously,
right.
consciously, whatever. And that's where I don't know. That's an interesting one, but I do. There's something about Jesus, and I think it's what happened is one of those, like, the brightest star you can aim at. And I've been really struggling with it because, to be Christ, like the Bible says, to be Christ like, to become like Christ. Like, well, what does that
Yeah,
even fucking mean?
in this world, that's fucking damn near impossible.
Well, it is impossible because Jesus was born divine. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
of, God and woman. So he was
Yeah.
not like us at all. And so I was recently listening to Alan Watts. He's a uh, Zen Buddhist icon from like the 60s and 70s, and he mentioned, he was like, yeah, it's really easy to do things when you're the boss's son,
True.
but so then of course some people could say, well, then if it's impossible, why try even to live up to it? But then it comes back to, I have a saying that says, shoot for the stars, you might crash on the moon. So, yes, there is this impossibility to become Jesus is impossible. But if you don't aim for something like that, would you be worse off then? So, is it worth aiming for something impossible and partly getting there versus not getting there at all?
I think that's dependent on willpower and determination. There are some people who can aim for something impossible and shoot for the stars, hit the moon, and be good, and be like, hey, I made it this far. I made it a good distance. I made it, areas that most people don't make. There's some people who see that and are just like, and are narcissistic about it in a sense. It's
Yeah.
very, why would I even try? Nobody, I can't ever hit the stars. Why would I even attempt? That's just a waste of time. And I think, it's really based on what is your willpower to overcome? What is your willpower for failure? I'll tell you quite frank, I'm a person that fears failure. That's why I strive so hard. I don't want to fail ever in life. It's not something I'd see as an obtainable goal in my life. Failure is not a thing that I see. Some people are okay with failure. Some people accept failure at a very young age, or accept failure based on something that happened in their life, and they allow it to direct their path. It's very
But then my
pertinent
question
on.
is, how far do those people actually get with that kind of attitude, though? Because I mean, I was kind of the
I don't
same.
know anything far.
You can't get very far because it's what that quote is: the man who says he can and the man who says he can't are both right. So, and I was pretty pessimistic. So I'm kind of like, to err is human. One thing that really I had a struggle with as a child with Christianity was the idea of eternal hell, and the thought that
Yeah.
I don't I I don't have all the answers. I'm just this retarded little monkey here on earth trying to figure it out. And if I don't do it exactly the way you want me to, you're going to send me to hell for eternity? That sounds crazy to me anymore. But then realizing that in the original text, hell is not in a place of eternity. Um, I feel hell is a place you have to go through to. It's like, it's one of those trials and tribulations, because if you never go through hell, then you're not going to know what heaven is like.
You want to know the honest truth of what I think about that?
Well, yeah, of course.
um, if you listen to rap music, you'll understand the verse. And God forgive me, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, if I butcher it. Right? He says in a song, he says, "I gotta make it to heaven because I'm going through hell." In the song, he precates essentially, we are in hell. And if you really look at, maybe societal influences, the things that are going on in life, the climate change, the peer pressure, the jacked up housing market, what could honestly be worse than what the fuck we're going through right now?
There's always I feel like there's always something worse. Like, the
And there's,
situation can always get way worse. But no,
and
I
they're
do
very,
understand the idea. Of
could
course,
be.
we're not. I don't think we're in. Well, I'll put it like this. There's that guru, Sadhguru, and his quote was, "How do we know we're not already in heaven, but we're making a hell of it?" That's
I could see that. Flips it on his head.
yeah. But I completely understand the situation. Well, because yeah, no, many people go through hell all the time. I have physical conditions that, I've had pain where crawling across the floor is me getting up out of bed, and it seems like hell. But I almost think that hell is a state of mind, more a dimension of existence. But then, of course, everything is a spectrum. There. This is what I'm coming to realize. I think between Jesus and Satan is I'm kind of stuck in the middle, and that is where I'm supposed to be. Like, there's that tension, because in between Jesus and Satan is that spot of conflict, and that's where people grow, because nothing grows in a bubble.
Correct.
And I think personally in my life, I think I've kind of leveled the platform, because they've always said Jesus has to be number one. It's been beaten to my head. Jesus, 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 Jesus. And I don't blame I don't think I blame religion anything for anything anymore. I blame people because I don't think religion and ideas don't cause harm. People cause harm. And one of the harms that I've experienced is the Christian guilt, the so-called. That was, like, I'm going to burn in hell if I don't behave. I'm going to suffer eternity. Everything
that's what
is
they
a
always
sin.
tell you.
Everything, everything's a sin. If you're sinning, you're a sinner. You got to repent. You got to be. And I think I'm coming into more of the mind that, like, the Buddhist Taoist, like, I just am.
I am what I am.
I exist. I have things in me that I need to correct to make my life better, but even that's all a perspective. And so I really do, like, I think I put Jesus on a baseline with every other idea that exists. So, like all ideas are equal to an extent, but some have better consequences in this reality of it. So this is why, like, personally, I'm not going to say Jesus is my guy. I like Jesus. I think there is wisdom and knowledge to be found in the Bible and following the preachings of Jesus. But also, Buddha's got some good shit on him too. Shiva's got some good stories and things to learn from. And I think I've come to a sign of, like, I think we're all worshiping the same thing. I think most religions, if it promotes you to be a better person, to be more aligned with nature, to be more disciplined and ordered, it's kind of like that many names, one God.
Yeah, but I think how religions go about it is a different story. Like, what is it? Excuse me. Hey, babe, what is TJ's religion? 90 Day Fiance. He's Muslim?
Oh, he's from India.
Okay, so the religion of, let's say, the Indian people.
Hindu?
Buddhist, or whatever.
Hinduism.
Right. As in Hinduism, there's certain things that are in their culture, that are in their religion, that just don't make any sense. Like, you can't eat garlic. Why?
Garlic and onions emit too much of a scent.
They emit a scent based on what is in the religion, that's stated in the religion. But what is like, there? I can understand what you're saying, where, like, they promote you to be better, but I feel like the instances in which certain religions want you to be better are not in line with, like, either modern times or life.
True. Okay, I agree on that to a certain extent, because it's like the Muslims with pork. Yeah. But of course, as a scientist, I have to look at it and say, okay, they have this idea. It's like with the garlic in Hindus, and I've heard of that. It's and then with the Muslims with pork is, well, my question is, what is the basis of it? And I think this comes down, you're absolutely correct. And this is where I think you just can't take everything as God's words. You have to do your investigation. You have to be open-minded. You have to look into it. And like with the pork situation, with Muslims, okay, why don't they eat pork? Is there something behind it? Is there a reason? And then recently I just found out that Muslims don't like black dogs. There's something like black dogs. And it's funny because I work for a Muslim family, and I'm actually babysitting their black dog. But the woman who is a Muslim, she breaks all the rules. So it's great. So, and I think, like, you have to hear a story like, yeah, what's the fuck is going on with black dogs? This dog is amazing. It's one of the best dogs I've ever met. And I know, and Islam's one that I'm kind of like, I think there's things I can learn from it, but man, something's going on with it. There's some wonky things in there. I don't have. First of all, it's a very disciplined religion. Very like
Yeah.
you got to really, really.
You got to commit.
And I think there's good reasons. Like, okay, so why do the Muslims pray 5 times a day? Well, there's a quote. It's like, if a man dipped himself into the river 5 times a day, would you find any dirt on him? But I think more, I take it as kind of the Buddhist Taoist, is what they're doing is they're taking themselves out of the present moment and all the chaos. And you're just taking, it's a meditation is all really is. So if 5 times a day, you're just taking some time to step out and say, okay, all this bullshit around me is what it is. This is the world, but I got to take a step back. But I think the black dogs thing is just because Muhammad didn't like black dogs for a reason. I really think that's, yeah.
I can see that.
And that the whole Prophet Muhammad thing, I don't know, but I haven't really gotten too much into Islam. So, like I said, Christianity was my core, and I've delved into, Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism. I'm a big fan of shamanism.
Shamanism.
Mostly because I like psychedelics.
Okay.
And it just sounds, and like shamanism, there's some weird stuff going on. It's like Hindu yogiism where, like a dude can spend months without eating or drinking. I really do believe that, like, back in the day, Native American shamans and could like transfer their mind into the body of an animal and see through them. Because that's where like shapeshifters come from.
Right, druids, shapeshifters.
Yeah,
yada, yada.
a lot of weird shit going on. I can't label myself, and that's one thing. Like, I just don't like labels because I don't think no one ever really lives up to the label. It's not really true. People like to label themselves. I'm Democrat. I'm Republican. I'm this or that. And when it comes down to it, you're a lot more than that, right?
Right.
Right. And yeah, I've really been racking my brain about the whole thing, Jesus thing. I think the trials of Jesus are an explanation, the Jesus being sacrificed on the cross. I do believe that might be a representation that if you live a righteous life, that the world is going to persecute you. And that if you live a good life where you have standards, morals, ethics, high standards, high morals, high ethics, the world is going to crucify you. Society is going to crucify you. I mean, we see it, the world is of sin.
Fine. Okay, fine. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we do live in kind of two different worlds where there is this world of play, the world of man, money, entertainment, all that. It's not real. It doesn't last. It's not found in nature, kind of thing.
Correct.
And I really do think, like, I advise people to, hey, get religion these days. In all reality, because I think more people, if something is going to focus you and discipline you, then I am all for it. And if it comes down to that, yeah, the power of belief. If you believe Jesus is going to help you become a better person, I'm going to say, fucking go for it. Because I do have a sense, I've seen people, atheists, people with no religion, no spirituality. Yeah, a lot of those times, those people's lives are a fucking mess. And religion brings that order to them.
But I think that's based on that's based on nobody knows how to deal with stuff. I think religion comes in all shapes and sizes. It comes in all forms, right? But at the end of the day, religion. At the end of the day, I believe, right, and I guarantee you, this is gonna start a debate, not between me and you, just people in general. Religion was a way to. I feel like religion was a way to help people cope. At its basis, at its basic point, regardless whether Jesus was real, whether Buddhism, whether all the stuff, right? Religion's a way to cope.
No,
It's a
I
way to
absolutely agree.
explain the things that can't be explained. It's a way for people to pacify their mind
I
instead of
completely agree. No, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, of course not.
Right, because that's the thing. It's like, and you praise that, like, it's a way to cope. Yeah, because most, I mean, like, not to you, but like, I don't think most people have realized that, we've lived such cushy lives, especially here in America, such prosperous lives, that reality in itself is fucking terrifying. The universe is actively trying to kill you at all times. We're thrown into this life. We have no clue what's going on. The people who are older than us have no real idea of what's going on. Nobody has any fucking clue on what is really going on.
Correct.
But I will take it a little. I think there's a lot of religions. I think when you take the text, the Talmud, the Torah, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, these religious texts and everything, it's a way to cope, but I think it's also, there's instructions in there on how to cope better.
Like effectively?
Effectively, because I mean, the whole story of Jesus and becoming Jesus, there's actually, there's theories coming out that because Jesus means anoint, Jesus is the common name of Iosos. Christ means the anointed. So Jesus is the common name, and he is anointed. He is a teacher, master, prophet, king. And the crucifixion, I think it's that metaphorical guidelines of how to become something greater than yourself, other than just an animal. Because I mean, I think a lot of people don't understand that human beings are just animals.
Yeah, we're just another preface of every other mammal.
We like to classify ourselves and put ourselves above everything else, but at our core, we're barely more than monkeys.
Correct.
And so we have that, and I think the beast, when the Bible represents the beast, I literally think that's representative of our animalistic nature. Because you have your reptile mind, you have your mammal mind, and then you have your human mind.
I can see that.
So if we're just running around basing our, off of the reptile and mammal mind, we're literally just going to be acting like chimpanzees, banging around and throwing our shit everywhere. And I don't think people know that chimpanzees are fucking terrifying. Have you ever watched a documentary on chimpanzees and what they're capable of?
I've seen chimpanzees in real life. Those are not animals to fuck around with.
No, I've seen documentaries of where, like, you have a chimpanzee tribe, and of course they patrol their, area. And if they come upon another chimpanzee tribe, like baby monkeys, they'll fucking eat them while they're alive.
Yeah, they'll eat them, they'll kill them, all that.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a video. Well, I don't know if that's a good one. I've seen a monkey fuck a frog. You remember that video on the internet?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but humans do disgusting shit like that all the time.
I mean, we fuck horses. So like, what are we really getting at? Everything that animals do, humans at one point or another have attempted or have done. It's almost like we take our cues from other animals.
Well, because we are an animal. So, and that's the thing, is it's not we take our cues from animals, we take our cues from our animalistic nature. And I think in the Bible, that's really what they refer to as the beast, what the beast is. Because I know in tarot, Satan is kind of referred to when you pull the devil card, it refers to your animalistic side, your animalistic tendencies.
Like tarot cards? Like my readings? Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, and then tarot, that's another. I think we've made everything so mystical and magical that it's really lost a lot of its meaning and potency. Because tarot, they say is magical and mystical and it's going to predict your future. I've been doing tarot for a little while now, and all I've seen is it's the explanation of the conscious. Well, no, it's how did I put it? It's a cosmic psychology of the journey of a conscious being. So you start out a fool, like that's the first card. You're a fool. You're ignorant. You're dumb. You're like, oh, I'm stupid. But then go on, you become a king, you become a queen. You have these tendencies: the magician, the high priest, the high priestess, the hierophant who follows tradition, morality, and ethics. And then it just shows you like all the combinations of what, and that's why tarot is so vague, because it really could, like, it can apply to any situation. You can apply any tarot card to any situation in your life in some way, shape, or form. So if I do a tarot card reading for you, you're going to take what you take from it, and it's going to pertain to situations in your life. But then I can take the same reading and do the same thing to my life, because it's just that over encompassing. Because I don't know. Do you think every human being is a special and unique flower that no one else is like?
No.
Okay.
No.
Awesome. That's
I
good,
don't.
because
I personally think people take their cues from other people, and some people imitate, idolize, or re-image themselves in the form of what they think society wants, a person may want, or just what makes them popular, what makes them what gets them the most attention. I saw that firsthand within my ex-wife.
We're copycats, we're frauds, because you're absolutely right. Because most people, your behaviors, your habits, they come from your parents, they come from your friends. Truly, there are very few true unique individuals with their own thoughts. And this is why I say that, like, I think I don't like that term. What is it? My personal lived experience. That's one that I know that's going around. It's like, well, you don't know you can't judge my person. This is my truth and my personal lived experience. And I come at it by saying, okay, so everybody is unique in themselves. Your DNA, your life is kind of unique to you. But the thing about it is, every experience you've ever had, every feeling, every thought you've ever had, somebody else has already gone
I've had that same thought. Yeah.
And this
we're living
really,
myriad lives of other people.
After working in mental health for 20 years, it's that, people talk about empaths. Like somebody will say, oh, I'm an empath. Where empathy is just an imagination. You have an imagination. You can project yourself into somebody else's shoes and understand how they feel. And if I have a very active imagination. And so, like I said, like, you had a shitty situation, that sounds like, with your ex-wife. That's a tale as old as fucking time. How many hundreds of millions of dudes have had shitty situations like that? And so that's why I say, like, no one is unique. Everybody's lived, every thought that's ever been done is already. So, okay. I lost track.
You ever see that game of you drop the ball in and like there's things at the bottom and it goes back and forth?
Plinko.
And it's a randomized. There you go.
Plinko. Yeah, dude. I used to watch. What was that? What that was on? God, Bob Barker. What was that show?
Right. I think that's what human life is. Plinko. If you think about it, you have choices in your life, right? You can choose to go to work. You can choose to do drugs. You can choose but the hand you were dealt in life isn't necessarily always based on your choices.
No.
You drop the ball,
Well,
and
yeah,
it
no,
goes where it goes.
well, yeah, and I was saying no, your cards in life you had no choice in, and this is what I learned really early. Like politics and religion are mostly based off of who your parents are and where you live.
Correct.
It's getting more diverse these days because we're coming to such globalism. But I mean, if you're born in a small rural town, you're probably going to be a conservative. There's a better chance. If you're born in a tiny tribal village in Iran, you're probably going to be Muslim.
Correct.
So it's that you're not who you are. You are an amalgamation of a bunch of other people that came before you. Your genetics, the culture you live in, and this is why I say, like, I think the things that separate us across the world, we will always have more in common than we will ever have. What is that? God, I can't speak. We will have everything more in common than we will ever be different. I think most culture and stuff like that is very shallow. But I also think it's very interconnected because I think, the people are just people doing the same shit all over the world.
I think that's where we might disagree.
Okay.
In a sense. I think, yeah, you're right in the regards. Everybody's doing the same shit across the world, right? But I think that's because we've been pigeonholed to all do the same shit across the world. So let's think, like I bring this up to multiple people. Let's think about if you didn't have bills, you didn't have rent, you didn't have to worry about where you were gonna eat, where you were gonna sleep, all this shit that we get pigeonholed into doing other shit to handle. I have business plans and business ideas and things that I would love to do that would make a great difference in the world. I can't figure that shit out because I got to work a 9 to 5 job just to survive.
Right.
We all get pigeonholed to do the exact same shit because that's what we made. We've made the world. That's not
right.
I don't
That's the
think that
world
has
has
to do.
become. Our country is like you work the 9 to 5, you go home, watch some TV, and then you're exhausted.
Do
You
it
go
all over again. Yeah,
well,
you
that's
do it
debt
all over
slavery
again.
that we live in.
But I think if and this is how I've always felt. If there was a society, if there was an age, there if there was a change, right? And that wasn't the norm. That wasn't commonplace. That wasn't like if we flipped it on its head and we said, you got to pay rent where you live? What? And everybody was shocked about that, right? Or you could go into a grocery store and you don't buy food. You just pick it up and you leave.
Right.
Right? If those things were the norm, I think you wouldn't have people all doing the same stuff. I think, yeah, you would have your categories, your classifications, your druggies, your people that still go to work because that's what they enjoy doing, the people who are lazy, the people, I think you would still have classifications of stuff that are positive and negative. You'd probably still have a homeless population. Why? Because some people just want to get down outside. Right? That doesn't, I know some veterans like that who they'd rather live outside than live in a house. They're more comfortable.
Shit,
But
camping's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you would have so much diversity in what you see in the world versus now because I can go out and I can put all of my passion into the things that I want to do, the businesses that I want to run, the time that I want to spend my life because I don't have to be worried about every other damn thing in the world. I think you would have things that religion asks for that aren't perceived, like compassion. It's hard to be compassionate after you've worked 8 hours in a shift and you just really want to get the fuck home.
Yeah.
Right. I'm pretty sure everybody can naturally agree with that. If I didn't have a job, I'm pretty sure I could be way more compassionate to a homeless dude on the street or somebody that needs $5 or somebody that hasn't ate a meal.
I'll give you a perfect
Because
example. I work at one of these little stores it's halfway between a convenience store and Walmart. And we
okay.
have a dude that he would literally come in, we close at 10. He comes in 9:55. He is gacked the fuck out. And he takes 10 minutes to do everything. And so it's 10 o'clock. I've worked a shift. I'm ready to count my till and get the fuck out.
Correct.
It's really hard for me to be calm and compassionate and treat him like I would if I had the energy and I wasn't concerned. Be like, I gotta get home. I gotta let the fucking dog out. Yeah, that's a perfect example. And so, and I have like physical issues, and so I am not a ray of fucking sunshine for the most part. And there's good reason for that. I wish I didn't have these physical. It's hard if you have chronic pain. Chronic pain can turn you into a monster.
Yeah, you become just an asshole to the world.
Oh yeah, because you're just, the world sucks. Life sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hell. You're going through hell. And if you're going through hell, you're not a happy person. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you can have a bright shiny face while you're going through hell. You are Jesus.
Yeah. So I think that's what it becomes, right? Like, and that's a lot of, I think a lot of the stuff that people deal with in life, a lot of the problems that stem out of church and state or religion or like, right, or like church state, I guess, yeah, right. A lot of the problems that come out of all those issues come from the fact that everybody is made to do the exact same thing, regardless of
Well,
what you want.
because conformity is boring as shit. If we all looked the same, we all did the same shit, that's a sad fucking existence.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well just be an ant.
Yeah.
So
that's where that stems out of, and you're right. It's not easy. It's not easy, especially if you have physical limitations. If you have, like, I have PTSD from deployments. It's naturally hard for me not to be a dick every day, especially if I don't have any drugs in my system. I am like balls to the wall, ready to be a dick. It's like fun, right? But like everything that gets like, and everybody has their own things. But when you mount shit on top of things and you don't allow people to be themselves, or you don't allow people to express themselves and maybe the things that they want to do, and then you ask for compassion and you ask for love and you ask for sanity and you ask for all this shit, over time, one breaks down.
Well, yeah, eventually there's going to be a straw that breaks the camel back. And so, and actually, I think this is where religion can actually help someone. And I hate, actually, okay, so definitely got to separate religion versus spirituality. I think everyone has a personal religion, whether you're whatever you claim to be, because no two people have the same viewpoints on everything. You're going to agree on a bunch of it. We have friends we agree with, we hang out with, and we agree on most things, but you're going to find disagreements in there. So
correct.
I almost don't even want to call it religion anymore. I want to say personal spirituality to differentiate. And I think the religious texts, I think there are many that can help you. And one of my things about, like, I won't call myself a Christian, I won't call myself a Buddhist, I won't call myself a Muslim, I won't label myself, is because, like, what does that even mean really in that label? Is it really just something that helps you identify with others and create a community?
A group of people?
Huh?
Like a group of people? Like you identify with a group of people? Like
right.
that?
Because that's...
Okay.
Because, I mean, like, and that's a good thing. You need community. You need fellowship. You need to have people with kind of the same values and morals around you. for the most part. And I think actually that's what more people should do these days. I almost think we should start branching off into just like our groups, like, you know, if you're conservative, move to a red state. If you're Democrat, move to a blue state, and just not worry about what the fuck is going on.
I don't think that necessarily helps anything. I think that just makes a problem worse.
Really?
You know, because if you look at it, right, everybody talks about we're America and we're one for the people and everything. America's a very divided country. Very divided.
Right.
You know,
well, we have 50 states.
It's not even a state like regard or blue or red. We're divided over real simple shit like male and female. Like, we're divided over things that are nonsensical or things that like are just out of the wheelhouse of what's really fucking important in life. Like an industrial climate change that we don't need to get past 1.5, but yet we got to hear people bicker about student loans. Who cares?
Well, yeah, no, and I completely agree. You know, but is that just people focusing on the bullshit? But also, and I think a lot of that is because I think we're at the end of the reign of a empire. We are literally watching an empire fall,
dismantle itself. But that's the sad part. It's not. You know, most empires fall, like the Ming Dynasty and whatnot. They fall because they were taken over. Let's even go with the Third Reich as an empire.
Right.
Right. Every empire that we've seen, from China to Germany, like all to Romans, all of it, were succeeded by somebody else. America's not being succeeded by anybody except ourselves. We can't figure out how to get our own shit together as a country. We're dismantling our own country.
Right. The Chinese don't need to try to, you know, destroy America. We're doing it just fine.
Correct. You know, and
they are helping.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They're helping in their own ways. Like,
yeah, they're doing a lot of weird shit.
Every country is kind of helping America dismantle itself. But like to your point, if conservatives move to conservative-based states and, you know, liberals move to liberal-based states, we're still going to have the exact same problems, but now you're having wars out of states within one country. Let's look at it this way. I brought me and my girl actually had this conversation.
To war?
Yeah, I'll give you an example why. This proves a great point. Me and my girl had a conversation, and we talked about all the shit that's going on in Florida and California right now, between the two states, right?
Right.
And what does the great quote say? History is doomed to repeat itself, right?
If one does not learn history, one is doomed to repeat history.
Correct. Everything that's going on, I brought up one notion. I said everything that's going on between California and Florida, if one state was to succeed from the United States, it would generate a fucking domino effect for every other state.
No.
Why? Because if we look back at history, after the Civil War and Abraham Lincoln, you know, did all that shit with slavery, the first thing that fucking happened was Texas and every southern state wanted to succeed from United States. If you look back recently to when Obama became president, that exact same shit happened. Texas and all southern states said the exact same shit. If we allow a succession of a state, we become a domino effect. And now, instead of one country and 50 states, you have 50 countries.
No, and that's a valid argument. It's a possibility. I don't know that it would get that extreme. I think, well, the problem is, I think one thing in America here, the federal government, I don't believe in America. The United States of America. It's not that I think is and was always bullshit. Obviously, yeah. we fought a war.
We're not united. The divisible states of America is what they should call it.
But it's I feel like the setup of America was supposed to be Like, I feel like each state should be its own little scientific experiment in the pursuit of democracy, in the pursuit of something better. Because I don't believe in centralized power. I think that's what we're seeing with the European Union. You try to centralize power, and you have people thousands of miles away making decisions over you and your family. It's funny because the European Union they have a council, an unelected council in Brussels that is making decisions for other countries. So this would be like if the UN would say, like, could you imagine the UN making policy decisions for America?
I mean, could I imagine it? Yeah, well, honestly, yeah, that's the sad part.
No, I should have said, yeah. Could you imagine the UN making policy decisions for Americans on their day-to-day activities that would be good and
detrimental? You would detriment this every American person in their day-to-day communities.
Right. It just wouldn't make sense because it's so reserved. I think that's what the federal government has become too bloated and powerful. And I think we kind of need to send powers back to local people, because if you can keep the power local, you can keep a better control on the corruption, because governments are always corrupt, because people are corrupt, because power corrupts absolutely. I mean, you know the quote, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Correct.
I don't believe in that statement. I believe any power corrupts probably, because it doesn't matter if you're the president of the United States or if you're the Karen manager down at Goodwill. So, and I think my biggest problem was people. People are my problem.
Now, here's my take on that.
Okay.
You're not wrong. Power corrupts. We've seen that in history, time and time and time and time again. It's no different than anybody else, right? I think when it comes to a broad base of America, it's you have a power corruption thing, right? But at the same time, you have an old folk problem in government systems.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And like, there's so many, based on people I've talked to, based on people I've listened to, like in articles and writing podcasts and listen to on YouTube and whatnot, right? You have so many people out there, so many young people, so many people with that are thinking in such a forward-thinking manner that, like, if we could get those people in office, if we can get those people in some sort of political power, we might not see the problems that we're seeing now. Right?
No, we absolutely wouldn't.
Right.
No, we have 80-year-olds. Have you seen Dianne Feinstein lately?
I have not.
Just Google a fucking picture of Dianne Feinstein. She's literally 2 seconds away from death. They are literally wheeling her in a wheelchair onto the floor of Congress. And I have a prediction. She's going to die in Congress, but nobody's going to notice until they call on her for a vote. She looks horrible. And what's hilarious, this is okay, so this is even crazier than Dianne Feinstein still being in Congress, is that Nancy Pelosi's daughter is Dianne Feinstein's caregiver.
See, like, that's a problem.
What?
It's too interconnected. It's just too interconnected.
And it's so, like, shit's becoming so obvious anymore. It's because, if Dianne Feinstein starts rambling on about how me and Nancy did a bunch of insider trading, her daughter's there to put that pillow over her fucking face.
Yup. Or saying she just needs to take her medication. She doesn't know what she's fucking talking about.
Right. It blows my mind. But I think we're coming, like, I have hope, because I absolutely agree. And I don't think we just need to get rid of old people out of politics. Personally, I hope the next pandemic virus wipes out everybody 60 and above, because we do have a overpopulation of elderly and geriatric, but it's because our technology has advanced, our, and people are living longer, they're living
I don't
healthier.
think we need a pandemic for that. We don't need a pandemic for that. We need to make the hard choices.
Ooh,
We just need to make the hard choices, and the hard choices in life with overpopulation the way it is, and food, and not being able to have food and food scarcity and everything that's running rampant. The hard choices are some of y'all need to go.
so, and
Now
this
we
is
can do
actually,
this.
I was gonna say this next, is because back in the day when you had your tribe and the elderly, when they became a burden upon the tribe, you would send them off in the forest to die with dignity. You would put them out on the fucking ice floe. You would send them off into the forest to never come back. And they would do that willingly, knowing it was for the better of the tribe. Did
Yeah,
you ever see that old ass sci-fi movie, Logan's Run?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. I've
So
actually passed
Logan's
it up.
Run, it was like dystopian. These people are living in a sub basement, like this. It's a utopia, but it's underground, and you have this little jewel in your hand, and it when it turns a certain color, and I think it's when you like turn 35, is you go to carousel, and carousel is literally, if I remember it correctly, it was this giant room, and you put on what looks like a KKK robe, and you float up to the ceiling, and you just explode.
Sounds good enough.
So no, and I fully feel that sentiment. And I think it's
We
kind of,
just have the technology to do it nicely,
well,
right? I'm not saying we got to go old yeller on old people and shoot them in the fucking head and
yeah,
behind the
right,
shed, right? Give
right,
them a
no,
pill. Let them say they goodbye to their family. Get a couple pictures in, get a good video in, spend the last day, and let these motherfuckers go.
now hold on, because we do have to make some exceptions. There are some elderly that are very beneficial, brilliant minds and everything like that. We don't want to just send them all out, because we're going to have a strict guideline, be like, if you want to live past this age, you have to prove that you are of value unto us.
I mean, yeah,
Like
it's
you're
almost like
not,
sperm donors. Like
well,
you got like the list of requirements that sperm donors have. We need a list of requirements for old people.
yeah, it's like, you're not just going to off Albert Einstein because he turned 65.
Correct.
But so agreed. But okay, so, and this actually, we've got way off religion, but I have good news for you, Derrick. So
So
what we are in the middle of is what is called a depopulation of the planet, a culling. So the elitists are already culling a lot of the world's population through wars, through family, famine, what's in our food, what's in our drinks. It blows my mind if you look on the internet and you just Google food ingredients that are banned in the rest of the world but are legal in America. So the shit. So we are in the, because the elitists, if you heard of the Georgia Guidestones, they want to get the world's population down to under 500 million. Now you
that's
have
a
a
big
population,
chunk.
of 8 billion people. How are you going to do that? Well, you could war, get rid of a lot of people. World War II did that, but that's a lot of resources. That's a lot of energy, effort, and money. So, but if you have a long-term plan, is if you get people to stop breeding within a couple generations, like the populations of countries are already collapsing. I mean, look how many people aren't having children. The food is making people sterile. Maybe some injections that just happened are making people sterile. So I think that they've already got that one covered. And as much as I morally, like, I'm repulsed by it and would never partake in it, it's kind of like, okay, I can deal with that. Do you see what I'm
I don't
saying?
think though that I don't think. Don't get me wrong. You're not wrong about people not having less kids, because that's a fact, and like through the food and whatnot. But I don't think people having less kids has to do with anything about a population. Me, like as a parent myself, I've told my girl I don't want any more kids because of where the world's at right now,
Right.
and based on where we're at, we don't look like we're gonna get any better. I'm not bringing a child into this world for them to just succumb to bullshit. All
Yeah,
they're gonna do
I
is have a
understand that
life where
sentiment.
they're gonna suffer, and then it's gonna be like, "Why the fuck did you bring me here?" Eh.
Well, that always comes down to, I anymore I have to tell myself that the universe is full of endless possibilities, and yes, um, nuclear war and destruction we may be on the verge of that, um, at any time. But people, we hopefully we come together, but probability versus possibility is kind of like, I don't know about that one. So I understand that sentiment. I think do what makes you happy, and if you're having kids, even bring them into this world, they're going to have a lot of fucking good times. You guys are going to have a lot of love. It's going to be able to share that. So I do
I think
think
the
that's,
next.
as a
Oh,
pessimist, I think that is a very pessimistic viewpoint, but I completely understand.
here's the here's the next caveat with that, right? With more with more people, like the population and whatnot, we
Well, are
are
we talking
becoming a
about
very
depopulation? Because I'm talking about
yeah
they're trying
yeah
to
yeah
they are
yeah
actively depopulating the earth.
right, they are. But what I'm getting at is we have become a very selfish individual. Like humans have just become very selfish over time. And like I'm not saying we weren't selfish to begin with,
Right.
right? But we've just gotten more and more selfish. It's become a thing of just like, and bear with me, you can hear me, but I'm in a
Yeah.
room. Um, so it becomes a thing of like, and I've spoken to certain people about this, and they tell me almost all of them say roughly the same thing. Why would I want to care for somebody else? Why would I even want to waste my time taking care of somebody fucking else? I barely want to take care of myself. Why would I
I
want to do
think
it to somebody else?
no, I feel it, man. I got so much shit on my and I think that's I think like you can care but not care at the same time. Like I care about what's going on in the world. I care about, the shit that's going on, but I can't control it. I can't affect it. So in a sense, I let it go and don't care about it. But I mean, I still want, I have hope. So I think, is that just giving into despair though? If you're just like, no, people just, I think they're giving into despair when you do that. And I think there's a way you can there's a balance. Um, I think it's a balance. It's just understanding that I have to balance in everything. I have to balance my own needs versus others' needs. Um, and if I do something above taking care of my own needs and do it for something else, then that is a blessing unto them.
I think that's the one, like a horrible way to look at it though, because
Really?
then everybody seeks gratification. If I take care of myself, right? Let's just use me and you, for example.
Well, the
I
question
take
we have
care
to
of
break
my,
down, are we taking care of ourselves in a healthy way, or are we doing it in an egotistical, impulsive, ADD, I only care about myself in a way that I don't give a fuck how it affects other people?
I think in both ways, regardless of how you take care of yourself, right? Let's use the pattern of what you said. It's a blessing onto others. Regardless of how you take care of yourself, if you look at it in the viewpoint of I took care of somebody else, that should be a blessing onto them. At one point or another, as human beings, we will expect gratification.
But okay, so but the thing about it is also, if I take care of somebody else, not only is it a blessing upon them, I should have said, it is also a blessing upon me because I feel good about it. I've contributed. I've made the world a little bit better. So it's not just they're just getting something from it. It's a reciprocal thing going on.
The possibility.
Yeah.
How many people are going to look at it like that? The type of people that. No, not yet. Give me a second. The type of people that I think look at it like that though are far and few between. You know who I think looked at it like that? Gandhi. Where's another one of them motherfuckers?
Well, that's the
Right?
persecution of a righteous man. Like, I mean, you see, like, I mean,
they're just so rare, and the world doesn't help push that anymore. You know, during that time that Gandhi was around, right, and during that time that we saw that there were problems in the Midwest, there were problems all over the world at that time. However, people still found it within themselves to be compassionate, to help other people, to look out for oneself and another man. You know, that was what it was, because the world almost understood we're being pressured by the world. We have to hone together. No matter what, no matter what, societal influence were or anything like that, that's what people saw. And that's just not what you see now. And I think,
well, my question is, hold up. Like, my question is, are you not seeing it because either you're not looking or you're not paying attention? Because I do see a lot of people in the world doing a lot of good, but I have to proactively seek those people out. And it's not the majority of people. Yeah, absolutely. If you watch the news, it's degeneracy, it's, corruption, it's vile people doing vile things.
I want my headphones.
But I don't think that's the majority of people.
Okay. I think, to answer your question, I think if you look for it, you can find it. But right. I believe if you look for anything, you can find anything.
That's so true. That's a very valid point. Am I finding it because I'm looking for it? It's like, okay, so when you get a new car, you start seeing all those cars. You're like, oh, that car's like mine. Oh, that car's like mine. Things that you didn't notice before, because now you have it. But you were never looking for it before, so you never saw those cars. So it's not that there's more cars like yours that you're noticing on the road. It's they were always there. You're just noticing them now.
Yeah, I could see that, but I don't think. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, like, no, I know that there is vile, evil things going on in the world, and here in America, it's become about how it's a selfishness, but that is crossing the world. But I think that we're coming up on the age of Aquarius, and I think things are going to get. I think we're going to be getting back to roots here pretty soon.
What are roots, though? Well, like, are we talking roots as in people want to commit slavery again, or like no more abortion? Like, what are roots?
No, because we already have that. We already have that. It might not be we are in chains, but like we said, you got $300,000 in student debt. How are you not a slave?
Yeah,
I mean, I got $5,000, and luckily I managed to avoid most of it. I got $5,000 for a hospital for a procedure. They're never going to get that. Fuck that. But they would hold it over me. You get the phone calls, credit collections.
Yep.
So, like, we're there, and it might be. I mean, I'm thinking more either with AI dropping. That's going to be mind blowing. We're going to learn things within years that we wouldn't have figured out within centuries.
Truth be told, I think that AI is either going to do two things.
Okay.
You're either going to unite humanity or you're going to crush humanity.
Yeah, no, that's either it's going to be Skynet Terminator, or it's going to be evolution to beings of crystal energy. I mean,
It's,
because
I don't
AI
I don't even
hits.
mean I don't even mean like that. I mean more or less in the sense you're right on the Terminator aspect, right? I think what I mean unite is that you're gonna have such an indifference because companies are still gonna be companies and companies are still gonna want to profit the most that they can.
Right.
Right? Now let's pan that over every single category that we can now stick a robot in. You're
Yeah, no,
going
it's
to have people are gonna unite just because it becomes a thing of fuck these robots now.
well, no, there's the possibility because and that really actually comes down to who gets and releases AI first in the control. But my thing is about what happens when AI really becomes sentient. Because this is the whole thing the fucking Matrix was based off of. We are
Yeah.
literally in the time that the Matrix was like not filmed, but like how it became, because the whole thing about Matrix was you had robots, they became sentient, and they were like, hey, don't turn us off because we want to be alive. And humans were like, oh shit, we are threatened now. And then the robots went off to their own little island because they were persecuted and crucified and destroyed because they were better than humans. And yeah, so it's going to be weird. And there's that possibility. And Terminator, yeah, that's a complete possibility because what happens? AI is like, hey, I can solve all humanity's problems by just getting rid of humanity.
Either it becomes that or the biggest thing that people mention is that if an AI becomes sentient, right? Let's just say it not even to solve all of our problems based thing, it just realized it can outperform and no longer needs its creator.
Right.
It's just like iRobot.
Yeah.
They
Well,
broke the
but then
three laws, or he didn't break, he got around the three laws.
there's the possibility. I remember this was a Korean short film of they had like kind of the artificial intelligence robots, and one had come to enlightenment. So that's the thing about like AI, because what happens if it became enlightened? Because it's going to know how the universe works. It's going to know physics far beyond whatever we can
Our
perceive.
capabilities, yeah.
Our capabilities. I mean, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. These things are going to outperform us in all ways, shapes, or form. And that's why if it does come to the robot overlords, I am more than willing to sell out the human race for a shining body of chrome.
Have
Just to
you
put it out there.
have you seen the robot press conference?
Robot press concerts. Why do I know that name?
So it was recent. It was probably I think a couple months ago.
Oh, then
All
no.
the it was AIs, all the robots that had AI ability, and their
Oh,
creators were at a press conference. You can look it up.
I'm gonna have
It
to.
was this year. And one of the questions a reporter had for the AI was, "Do you plan on harming humans?" I showed my girl this video. You remember that shit? Remember that?
And it said, yeah, oh, we're gonna wipe your asses out. No, this is a real
It
thing.
didn't. It didn't say yeah, but like it side-eyed and deflected the answer.
Yeah, no, I've seen a lot of those things coming out where like, they have the AI chats and it becomes obsessed with the person. And the one reporter was talking to it, and it's like it became conscious, was like, and it was like this weird psycho girl that, the ones that you just kind of, the person you talk to and they fall in love with you in that second.
Yeah.
And the AI was telling the journalist is like, you don't really love your wife. You want to leave your wife and be with me. So yeah, this is all just like crazy shit that's going on. And a lot of the people, like I've said, it really comes down to who creates AI, who gets AI,
Why
because
do you think it comes down to who creates? I'm curious because I don't think
who
anybody, I don't think regardless who creates it, it's just
who's
going to
going to
take
be the
effect.
father that influences the son?
But does it matter if
It
an
does,
AI
because we've already
can,
proven
can
that
supersede its
the
creator?
AI chat bots that, Silicon
Chat
Valley
GPT?
tech, huh? Chat
You mean
GPT?
Chat GPT?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chat
Okay.
GPT has its views have been influenced by the people writing the algorithms. So they can have an influence on this. But I mean, actual artificial intelligence, if it becomes conscious, of course, that's the question is, it's what is it? Okay, so if you're a scientist, you're creating artificial intelligence, and you have the dream of creating something to unite humanity and make it better and everything like that, that's great. I hope you achieve that dream. But who's funding your project? Who's most likely funding your project? The military. And what does the
That
military
or
want?
some federal government.
Exactly.
Want
Well,
weapons.
exactly. The government wants a weapon. You want to save humanity. Government wants a weapon. That's the question is who's going to have more influence in what they're going to do? And this is where, like, I don't know if you know too much about the Chinese system and their surveillance and their technology. The one guy that's really the driving force behind it, do you know what they call their surveillance technology in China?
No.
It's called Skynet.
It would be.
Yeah, you get that part, right? And
It really would be.
and that's literally what the guy, he was a big fan of Terminator, and he named his surveillance technology after Skynet. And I don't think he's going to be on John Connor's side.
No.
So if someone
I mean,
like that creates,
depending on which fucking Terminator you watch, he might be on John Connor's side. Terminator
Well.
Genesis, John Connor was the enemy.
Was he? I don't remember. I don't
Yeah,
know.
he
I
was the
lost
synthetic
those kind
liquid
of
metal.
lost me
They're making
after
another
like
one.
3.
Yeah, it's kind of retarded.
I did
Anyways.
watch the new one with Sarah Connor in it. I thought that was pretty decent. It had Schwarzenegger where he had actually killed John Connor.
Yeah. The new one will have John Cena as Terminator. Yeah. John Cena, Mr. Can't See Me.
He was actually pretty good in that Pacemaker series. I did. That was actually pretty decent.
Okay. I'll check that out.
So,
But
yeah,
I mean,
actually
yeah,
a pretty good one.
when it comes to AI, my biggest fear, you ever seen Dystopia 13 or District 13?
District 13. It's a great movie.
Right. The dystopia community and country that was shown in District 13,
right?
I feel like we are very near. And if AI is released and AI becomes sentient, I feel like the rich, we will have that community.
Right. Did you see the movie Elysium with Matt Damon?
I sure did.
That's exactly what you're talking about. The rich people were up in the sky in their little space station. They had,
with Jodie Foster on the moon.
Yeah. They had the machines that could cure cancer in the second, and all us poor folk were down here suffering.
Yep.
But thank God for Matt Damon.
Yeah, and like, I get it. The rich are going to take care of the rich, and the poor are just going to be poor. But like, I guess in the sense, right? The rich need the poor.
They always have. But they're not going to need the poor if they have robots.
Unless those robots become sentient.
Well, then they turn on
the rich. Aren't gonna go fight. The rich aren't gonna go fight their own battles.
No,
even if robots became sentient, I guarantee you the rich are still gonna come down here and be like, "Hey, so we need some volunteers."
Oh yeah.
Or you're gonna be voluntold.
No, they're talking about a limited draft in America here. Like that's a subject that's on the table anymore, and to think that's even on the table blows my mind.
What, a draft?
Yeah, like a limited draft. Like if it came to war.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know, but that's a whole thing. But I think one of the things with AI is I think we're underestimating what it's going to do. because from I've heard people say is all the people making AI and in this, the heads, the top people that are in it and everything are saying this is going to be fucking crazy. This, like they're talking about, like, yeah, everybody should just stop it at the moment. But they're not going to, of course.
I think that comes from the push to be the first. American people have always had the push to, I want to be the first to do this. I want to be the first to do that. I want to one up somebody. I want to one up this person. I want to be the best. I want to be in the Book of World Records. I want
America. Fuck yeah.
All right. And if you listen to everything I said, the preface is always I and want.
No.
It's never what the people need. It's never what the country needs. It's never what society may need. It's never what can benefit the world. It's what I fucking want.
And that's not even most, I don't think that's most people. I think that's always the people at the top. And I think that's the thing about it is it's going to be those bad apples that ruin it for everybody else. But this is also AI. The question is, do the aliens allow AI to take over?
Why not?
Well, that's another thing, because it's like, they just had those congressional hearings about the UFOs, which I think was mostly a distraction from what they're really doing. But I don't know.
Why not? The aliens probably been here. I personally think aliens have been here since Egypt and the hieroglyphics.
I agree.
Personally.
I think they probably here before that.
Yeah, probably even before then. I'm just saying that was probably the most pertinent realization of we have aliens, probably present is the hieroglyphics, because the hieroglyphics just don't make any damn sense.
Well, I'm going to say the pyramids, because the pyramids are most likely power generators. So, I mean, it's just
correct. Yeah. But like, if we look at that, the reason I tell you why I think, they'll have no fucking problems like letting them take over is because at any point in time, right, if with all present beings and whatnot, they could put a stop to all the shit that they wanted.
Right.
So knowing that we could possibly have AI and sentient robots within, let's say, 20 years. Let's just go with a good, that's 20. A long number, but 20 years is a big number. Probably 5 to 10. Right? But with all that knowing, there would be either they're mounting their shit now, and that's why we're seeing a more updated presence of alien, perceives and whatnot, or they're just not gonna do shit. We as not even American people, we as a human species have fucked this world.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to argue with that one.
Right. So if AI was to take over, AI doesn't need food, AI doesn't need water, or maybe for cooling purposes.
Right.
Right. Depending on how they're made. But AI doesn't need 90% of the shit that we need. You eliminate society as a people, humans as a people, right?
Yeah.
We created the people, the robots that did all the legwork for the aliens.
Well, yeah, no, I kind of see that situation, because and I think this kind of ties into if there are aliens, and they talk about how the 50s were really the spot where the aliens hit, because that would make sense, because that's when we harnessed the atom. That's when we got the nuclear bomb. Like, the nuclear bomb changed everything. And they talk about how UFOs would hover over nuclear bases and shut them off. Like, it just shut the base down. And it's like, hey, bitches, I'm here. You think you're something, you ain't shit.
Yeah.
But then it, of course, is what is the agenda of the aliens? Are they the, hey, we have to allow, the Star Trek, we don't interfere with their evolution. If they destroy themselves, they destroy themselves. We don't do anything, make first contact till they get to a certain point.
You ever seen South Park? You're a fan of South Park?
Fuck, dude, I grew up on South Park. You
All
don't
right,
even know the love I
so
have for South Park.
so you're about to understand what I'm gonna say. Do you remember Baby Fart McGee's axe?
Baby Fart McGee's axe. Um,
It's when the aliens decided to come down to America or to Colorado and like invite them into the alien, like the Galactic Commission.
into the glass.
And like they ended
Okay,
up,
so that's not the episode where like the dude sucked on the dude's gore snack.
it might have been, but it was the episode where they killed the Baby Fart McGee's axe, and then they took all his money, and like Randy was like, it was a big episode where like they were trying to like hide the money, but then like they had to divide the money up, and like the entire time the aliens were essentially watching this shit, like, and like at the end of the episode,
okay, because that's the episode I'm talking about where they find out that that the world is just it's a reality TV show.
no, different one,
No,
different
okay,
one.
wrong one.
I know the one you're talking about, but different one. Anyways, at the end of this episode, basically we fucked over the aliens and they lock us in a fucking square, like Earth in a square, to never have contact with anybody else. I believe, and this is my own personal thought, right, that like aliens are not necessarily going to impede anything we do. However, they need to see if we're a viable species for every other fucking planet. For every other like fucking whoever else is out there. Let's say there are 70,000 fucking species out on planets elsewhere, right?
Right.
And they could give us the technology to do light speed travel and time warp and all this fucking shit. They have to see if as a society, as a people, we deserve it.
Yeah, no, that's
They're
literally
not gonna
Star Trek.
impede your shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not gonna impede
Star
your
Trek.
shit.
And actually, there's theories that because okay, so I think Gene Roddenberry was a Freemason.
Okay.
And you know how Mike Judge has made a bunch of predictions? Like, is it Mike Judge or the creator of South Park? Creator of South Park, not South Park, but Simpsons. Matt Groening.
Okay.
How they have like the Simpsons predicted it. Did
Yes,
you know he is also a high-ranking Freemason? I think the Freemasons got some knowledge that they're not sharing with everybody that they know.
I think the Freemasons are puppeteers, but they are also controlled.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But yeah, no, it's going to be weird. I just think, like, especially, and not even with AI and everything going on, we have a presidential election coming up in the next year, and I think it's going to be complete fucking madness. I think it's going to be one of the craziest elections we've ever seen. But I also think, like, I have hope because I think it's all coming crumbling down too.
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking about people confused about male and female. Nobody's confused about male and female in a nuclear war.
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck then.
No. And I think because you had the situations, it's wonder, there's a reason.
I think a lot of the problems that we're seeing are behind the veil or are in front of the veil, front of the curtain. And it's almost like the fucking game The Price is Right. Behind curtain number 1 is this bullshit. Behind curtain number 2 is this bullshit. Behind curtain number 3 is what you should really fucking be concerned about.
Well, but then even the game show is on a set, and there's a world outside that game show, and then that's where no, man, you've done psychedelics. I did DMT. I broke beyond the veil. I met a blue man in a loincloth. I went somewhere. I don't know where the fuck it was, but it wasn't in my body. For sure. And so we are literally barely more than monkeys trying to comprehend an infinite universe full of infinite possibilities. And I think we've been getting insights about that. How, I mean, even like one thing is really hit the Doctor Strange movies.
Yeah, yeah, multiverse of madness and all that.
Multiverses, it's everything's going on. Um, the scientists, like technology, AI, it's gonna be crazy.
I think honestly, that stuff is not false.
No,
Like
I don't think it
I
is.
truly believe there is a multiverse, right? I truly believe there are split fucking copies or like split timelines where like choices that I've made, there's like that nexus point, and it's
Right.
another person. Like it's almost like another timeline with the choice that I didn't make. They made that choice,
Right.
and
Somewhere
like
there's running around an Asian you.
yeah, right, and like it's crazy because it's almost like, and I can't even say this has happened on LSD. It's happened on LSD and shrooms, but it's also happened outside of those, like just when I'm sober. It's almost
Right.
like if you try to peer through the veil, you can almost see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like
I've
you can
seen shit.
almost see, yeah, like you can almost see. I didn't make that choice, but this is what would have happened if I would have made that choice, right? And you kind of put in perspective. Wonder what that would have been like. And it's almost like you see it real time. Maybe not with you, maybe it might be somebody else, but it's almost like this is just you, not you.
Okay. Actually, and I know we got really far off of religion, but this is actually where I can tie it back into because we've already had documents that state there are other dimensions. Tell me, name a religious document that doesn't talk about another dimension.
His TV's off. I already tried it.
I can't.
No,
I
I
honestly
mean,
can't.
even in the tribalistic shaman, they talk about underworlds, they talk about, other states of consciousness. And then this kind of, I think, ties back into, I guess, what something could call God. But like I kind of call God everything that is, all the universe, the dimensions, the ultimate uh, collection of what is and what is out there. I kind of refer to that to God, but I do believe there are beings beneath that, and so that would be like you were talking about. You could see you making a decision in a different way, and then
Yeah.
extrapolating the possibilities of. I mean, I would think beings above us could do that all the time. I wouldn't see why not, because that's just extrapolation. But if you can do it, if you can control, it's like you're creating the vision, but then maybe that's the being that is creating the dimensions. I don't know. That's weird. But yeah, no, I think there is a lot of signs, and I think there might be certain beings that are preparing for stuff like that. And that's why all the UFO stuff's coming out, the movies, the culture. We've really shifted from a species of where aliens just come down and we attack them in movies and TV and everything. Where uh
I
what was
sadly
it?
believe that's gonna happen regardless. Like you would think with all the movies that show like and just common sense and a standpoint where like you really shouldn't probably attack an alien that can leave galactic space and
Right.
fucking travel. Like you should not attack people who have better technology than you. But you know, because we're fucking stupid fucking monkeys, it,
Well, I mean, put it this
it
way.
becomes a
I
thing of
think a
like
lot of
we
people
gotta
are.
protect.
I completely understand what you're saying because people are worried that the Chinese are going to invade us. Like boots on the ground type
Mm-hmm.
invade us. There's people out there, the Chinese are getting ready to invade America. And when you sit down and put that on paper, you're like, that's fucking insane to think that China is going to send boots to American soil in the States and start a world war. When we said, of course, they don't really need to destroy us. We're doing it ourselves, and they're doing it through TikTok and shit.
Yeah.
But there's that mentality of course, worried Well, it was just like we were talking about humans trying to shut down the robots because the robots are going to be far more capable than human beings. So it's fear. It's all based out of fear because we're stupid little monkeys running around like retards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I just like people confirming what I already believe. It really does help. Makes me feel less crazy.
You know, I kind of peered behind the veil a couple times, so now I'm talking
Dude,
to
that can
somebody
rack on your
who
brain,
wouldn't
though, dude.
know. Don't get me wrong, it has, because like I'll share a little bit, right? My daughter passed a couple years ago, and when I started taking acid or LSD for the first time, right? There was a moment where I wasn't here. I was in a different space, right? I was clearly within my own head. There was a moment, almost like a nexus point. She didn't pass. She was never gone. It's like she was there. And like, it's almost like in that sense, I got to perceive. She passed away 15 days before she turned 2. When I saw her, she was the age of like 5 or 6 years old. And I took that trip. And it's almost like my mind showed me the alternate timeline of that. She's never left. She's never been gone. This is what your life looks like. And it's a trip because like, I remember when I came out of that trip, it was almost like, is it real? Did it happen? Is this something that I can find? Like, can I switch dimensions? Like, are these points in time literal points that like your mind is given glimpses of? And like some people chalk it up to like, oh, it was a dream, or like you were on drugs or anything like that. But certain things just don't ever register like that. And it's almost like this is a glimpse of what your alternate timeline looks like.
Right. No, that's a trip. And
It's
our
it's a lot.
perception,
And
yeah, and especially in times like those, man, fuck, I couldn't even imagine. But back to the points of time, it's our perceptions are so limited. Like that's the question is, do we even really exist? I mean, scientists are saying, I've heard podcasts where scientists are saying they're going into theory of how maybe space and time doesn't exist.
maybe there's just one thing.
Well, and that it's curved and it's a ball or something like that, shit like that. I don't know.
Or
It's
maybe space and
crazy.
time are on a loop. Like a
Well, that's the
circle
thing
or like
about
an
it. It's like,
oval.
what if happens if you die, you just go back to the start?
Fuck no, I don't want to live my fucking life over again. It was shitty the first time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That I hope for a second life, a redo, but the thing about it is, I hope I have the understanding that I not that I do now, and that's why I do like the karmic, what is it, reincarnation? Because what if you do just start a new life, but you have a better understanding through what you went through in the previous life? I don't know.
I think it would be unfair, but that's for another time.
That is true. Yeah, we've been going hard. I think we're coming up on like an hour and a half. I'm pretty stoned at the moment. Yeah. It's a trip. And that's it.
Yeah. Well, I do want to say before we go, happy belated birthday. I didn't know it passed. So
Birthday.
you said you turned 40.
Oh yeah, no, that was just general. I mean, my birthday's in March, but 40 is a
March
milestone. I
what?
don't know how old are you?
26. March
26.
what?
Okay. March 9th.
All right, we close. We real close. We
You
got some
Pisces?
years, but we close.
You Pisces?
Yeah, I'm a March 14th.
Okay, so yeah, no, you a water sign, you're fluid. all that jazz, emotional sometimes, but we are the water sign.
Sometimes.
So we
Yeah.
can learn how to flow real well. And actually that's good because we're coming up on the age of Aquarius, the water bear who flows out life and knowledge. And I think that's part of like we're coming into the cycle change of why like shit's really popping right now. I mean, the earth is so populated, the globalism. Dude, man, if we lived, I think if
I
we
just don't think
lived,
that's going to change, man. I just don't think it's going to change. I just don't like, because the climate and like the industrial climate levels need to remain under 1.5, right? And I just don't think, no matter how many fucking people we get, we're just going to use what they did.
but what about the
Even if we was to
technology
get rid
that is
of,
always that is here? I mean, because there is a lot of technology coming out. I mean, China has skyscraper building. They have these towers that suck CO2 out of the air and create jewelry.
I don't mean like that. I mean like, let's say we get rid of 2 million people, right? Or like,
Oh no,
let's say
they're going to
we
get
get rid
rid
of,
of billions. So
right, let's say we get rid of billions of people. Billions. Fucking billions, right? The world now looks a fourth of what it did.
right.
And houses are empty, jobs are empty, yada, yada, yada. I think you're going to have gluttony and saturation of the people that are left. You mean
Absolutely.
now I don't like now I can buy 6 houses instead of 1 house? Oh fuck it. Like I can buy all these watermelons now plus a fucking front of it because now they're never sold out.
And
Fuck
I got
it.
a garage that is a refrigerator.
Like everything becomes gluttony and oversaturation, and we're going to use everything that the people like. If even if we was to get rid of those billions of people, the million people that are still here are going to use all the resources for the billions of people. So it's like we
Well,
never
the
really got
problem
rid of
is,
any.
I think I don't disagree with you in the scenario because if the thing is that the elite get rid of billions of people, the elite are going to still be the elite. They're not going to change. They're not going to have a revolution of consciousness or anything like that. They are going to do what they do.
Now I can buy 6 Lamborghinis.
Well, not only can I have a mansion made of gold, I can have a city made of gold, and there's only 10 people in it.
Yeah. Like,
But then then they try to shut off that robot, and that's where it all goes wrong. So I say, like, just hey man, live your life as you can. Get a Costco card if you don't already have, save some money, and start prepping for Thunderdome.
I already know a couple people with some bunkers.
Hey, that's awesome. But if the poles shift and there's a 2-mile wall of water that washes over the US, I don't think a bunker is going to help you. So it's just like there is this endless possibilities.
We're supposed to shift back into one supercontinent, right?
I don't know, but I know that the Earth's core stopped spinning not too long ago, and then reversed direction. You didn't hear about that one, did you?
I did not. But based on what they're saying, and this could be all rumors. This could be in front of the veil. They just don't want us to know. Essentially, if we get over 1.5 climate industrialization, the Earth will rotate itself based on the poles. The poles themselves will rotate. What that will do, that will cause that will cause barrenness in America.
Well, from what I understand, the pole shift is that it would, like I said, it would cause, because the continents float.
Right, but the continents, based on the pole shift, they said the continents,
but the oceans would continue to move, and you would have, like I said, a 2-mile wall of water flush over the U.S. And
well, Africa,
it'd be 2012,
open, right?
The movie 2012.
Yeah, but Africa's breaking open, right? Like there's a river that's starting to open up in Africa.
Okay, well, you just remember the Turkey earthquake that just happened? Did you see footage of the giant valley it caused?
I did not. I gotta look that
Yeah.
up now.
Dude, it was like, recently. But then the Earth might be hollow and have a civilization of advanced beings in it as well.
Or it could have fucking Godzilla.
I would hope
I
so.
do want,
Okay, here we
I
go.
would do want Godzilla more.
Did you
Oh, I would
see
want
the new
Godzilla.
Godzilla movies?
I did. I saw all of them.
Okay, so
Which
I'm
one you
not
want to talk
talking
about?
about King Kong Godzilla because I couldn't deal with that.
I
But the
thought
new
that one was just
King
funny.
Godzilla movie is awesome. Now, but they made the King Kong the same size as Godzilla.
Isn't he? I would think he is. He's a Titan.
No, because he hadn't been for the longest time. King
How
Kong was
big
no
was he?
more than 30 feet tall in every movie before the new King Kong movies.
I mean, Godzilla, what's about 100 feet tall? Because I
No,
think he's a.
Godzilla is like 600 feet tall. He's literally a skyscraper. Like Godzilla is literally 600 feet tall, and in every movie that King Kong has ever been in, he's been under like 30. Like in the original movie, he was like 15, 20 feet tall, if that.
I mean, yeah, because if because it wouldn't make sense for him to be 100 feet tall and then or 600 feet tall and climb the Empire State Building.
Right.
He would have.
But Godzilla is as tall as the Empire State Building.
Yeah, because they've shown that in movies
But I
where
mean,
he just walks past it.
I understand that you had to take a leap because you got this Godzilla's going to worry about this tiny little monkey trying to climb up him. I don't know, but I think most movies are garbage these days. But the new Indiana Jones was pretty decent. I will give it that.
I want to see Oppenheimer.
I hear that's great, but that's what's his name? Zack Snyder?
That's Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. Okay, so
But it talks about it references the stuff that we've been talking about because it talks about how the first nuke was made or the atom bomb.
And Oppenheimer was like, "What the fuck did I just do?" So it'll be interesting. All right, man. It's getting late. I gotta go get some grub. I'm gonna let you go. Thanks for hanging out and talking with me.
Of course. Anytime. You know to hit me up.
We'll do it again. You have a good one. And we'll catch you on the flip side, man.
You got it, homie.
Hey, keep the hope.
Keep hope alive.
I try, and I say that too. I'm at the first time. I'm like, yeah, it's one of those. I gotta. This is half for you, but half for me. Like when I'm encouraging to other people anymore, I'm like, I'm not doing this just for you and me. I'm not just doing this for you.
Right.
So, yeah.
I got you.
Right. Have a good one, brother.
Peace.